Hello, my name is Cherries and this is my video of Game 2002 mobile game Ghost of the Cherries. I will start off by talking about what the main inspirations of my game were, what are some of the gameplay mechanics that I've implemented and showing them off, and in the end, showing a walkthrough of the game. The main game that inspired my system is Reigns. As seen on the screen, events pop up and the player gets a binary choice to resolve them. The values at the top change according to the choice that the player made with the context of the event. If any of the values at the top reach maximum or minimum, the game ends and the player loses. The fundamental value system that changes upon the choices of the event is something that I will implement in my own game. Another game that had a similar direction that I was inspired by was Silk Road Trader Kings. Other than the world mechanics and inventory mechanics of these games, which are very interesting, the main thing that I got from this was how the player moves through the world, and depending on where they are on in the world, they get different types of events. Unlike in range, where all you see is the top of the deck and the drone event. But this is where my design idea takes a drastic turn. Unlike how in range, where if you reach the maximum or minimum of a value, the game ends, here it would be the opposite. It's something you would be trying to work towards, and it would be sort of the way to roleplay in this world. This is very similar to what Mountain Blade and Wombat does for its reputation system with different characters and different lords. Essentially, as you work your way through a certain value to maximize or minimize, halfway points will be checks that will add new events that correlate to that value. That will create the emerging gameplay that I want for the role playing experience. So let's talk about cost of the cherries. These are the values of my game: fear, merit, integrity, reputation, and supply. These are all the values that in the events they changed. This is an event popping up, a binary choice that when chosen, a change in the values happens. As you can see, the black square in the background that moves from grey spot to grey spot is the pawn that we're using to move through this world and traverse. The grey spots are essentially the hotspots. Once the pawn arrives and lands in a hotspot, an event pops up. The player can only move the pawn to the hotspots or the grey spots in the map, the ones adjacent to the one that the player is currently on. The events that you see on the screen are all randomized events that get drawn from a list whenever landing on a hotspot. These are random and could happen at any grey spot. There are other type of events that I want to talk about. There are region-specific events that are found in my game. This, whenever you land to a specific hotspot, will always invoke a specific storyline event. For example, going through all these random event hotspots and then returning to the one that we just saw about the horse breeders will give us the horse breeders again. This will happen until that storyline is finished, which then becomes a hotspot that you just draw random events from. I have one more type of event in my game, and these are the fixed storyline in fixed hotspots. These storylines require a certain number of value to complete them, but allows you to leave and return whenever you want to resolve them. This hotspot, the Badlands, require either 75 fear or 75 merit to go through and resolve the event, and I will be going through those different options. Once that storyline is resolved, the hotspot becomes another hotspot that just draws random events from. I want to talk about the value system a little bit more. In this playthrough, I'm going for a fearful character, meaning that I want to maximize my fear bar. Starting with some normal events, I will choose all the options that will give me more fear values. Once I have done enough to reach 75 values, the game adds more events that will perpetuate my fearful character to reach its maximum. This event is a specific event that comes when you reach 75 fear. And because of the nature of the event, no matter what you choose, it will only lead you down to a more fearful character. The context of the event is important, of course, for this to be represented to the player correctly. Once having reached 100, or 0 if he's another value, the events past this point will reflect on what type of character you are, but will only change values from other values. This, of course, was only just one example of the possible 10 of progression routes. Before I saw a full playthrough of my game, this is Damiano, testing out my game in mobile, which was the intended experience and the intended platform for this game. This is it as far as concerning me showcasing my game is. The remaining of the video will just be in how a normal playthrough looks at when someone is playing it.